Good evening. I'm meteorologist Ron Childers. If you notice, we had to start the clock a couple of times. I had technical issues over here. Wow, it's crazy. I'm alongside Liddy and Kennan this evening. She's going to be monitoring our questions section on our internet feed and Facebook feed. So if you've got questions, feel free to enter them there. I'm with you tonight because tomorrow's the first alert weather day. We're tracking the threat of freezing rain coming into the Mid-South. We went over a lot of stuff right around 8 o'clock this evening. You may want to go back on our Facebook page and take a look at that. We're going to run through it once again here, and I'll tell you what, let's start off with a look outside. It is cold. We've got temperatures in the 20s. Feels even colder out there. This is our Best Care Home Services camera. That is Union Avenue. Ice covered indeed. We had some good melting today and got a couple of clear lanes going east and west on Union, but tonight temperatures fall in the 20s. That ice out there refreezing, so any slushy conditions, they're going to turn into hard, slippery ice overnight and by early morning. Now, as we take a look at what is going on, we've got a first alert because, yes, we're tracking another system. And this one, ladies and gentlemen, is going to bring ice to the Action News 5 coverage area. Freezing rain is what we're tracking. Clouds are going to move in tonight. There will be freezing rain Thursday, followed by another big shot of bitter cold to end the week and start off the weekend. So Thursday is a first alert weather day. Let's check it out, shall we? Right now, we've got nothing in the way of precipitation anywhere in the Mid-South, but most of the Mid-South, if not all, covered in a blanket of snow from earlier in the week. And, well, that's still there. Even with some sunshine today and a good amount of melting, we still got a lot of ice out there and another system approaching from the west. So here's a scenario. Right here at the surface, we've got cold air. It's basically just shallow layer of cold air from northern Mississippi on through eastern Arkansas, West Tennessee. Now we're going to see warm, moist air overriding that. Clouds also moving in. That's going to bring with it a little more moisture into the area. All of that intersecting right here in the Mid-South, prompting the National Weather Service to issue a winter weather advisory. That's going to go into effect at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning and remain through 7 Thursday evening. It is for all of the counties in the Action News 5 coverage area, including Memphis and Shelby County. Again, freezing rain, it's our main concern. By midnight tonight, looking at temperatures right around the upper teens, lower 20s, should be right around 22 in Memphis by midnight. And as a matter of fact, with the air coming in out of the southwest, by 7 in the morning, a little warmer for a few areas, including Memphis. We'll be in the mid-20s, but notice that little area of pink right there around Tunica. There may be a little sleet or freezing rain that starts to move in. I think it will likely be freezing rain, given the fact that the air aloft will be warm above freezing, so that's going to intersect with that cold layer at the surface. And then it spreads north and east. This forecast model also showing a little more activity than earlier forecast model runs. Still light, but covering more of the area by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So one of my biggest concerns for people tomorrow is getting to work and then having a difficulty maybe getting home, or especially during the lunch hour when we expect the majority of that precipitation to continue falling. So driving will be tricky tomorrow. Let's go back and show you how this plays out, because we go from 10 in the morning and then we advance to about noon. More freezing rain in West Tennessee, northern Mississippi as well. Now the forecast model showing temperatures from Batesville to Oxford, Clarksdale, slightly above freezing, mid-range of the 30s. I think they're going to hold at 32 tomorrow. I really do. I think most of the Mid-South will remain below freezing through the day. As we get into the afternoon, the focus for precipitation shifts east of the Mississippi River and mainly east of Memphis, but can't rule out a little freezing drizzle or maybe even a little light freezing rain still lingering. And then by the evening hours, pushes out. That's going to be followed by a clearing sky tomorrow night and another bitter drop in temperatures as we wind up to drop to about 20 degrees. So Thursday, estimated rainfall still coming in at about 1/10 of an inch of precipitation, up to 1/700th of an inch in Wynne and Blytheville now. So forecast model picking up on a little more precipitation than it did last hour. This is new data. The 9 p.m. forecast runs 1,300s for Memphis. That should equate to 0.13 of an inch of ice, slightly more than a tenth. So freezing rain is what we're tracking, and I think it's going to cover just about the entire area, especially from DeSoto County north, really areas along and north of the Mississippi-Tennessee state line, and basically all of eastern Arkansas. That little area you see there in green, likely starting as freezing rain, may transition to rain, especially if the temperature gets above 32 degrees. But as I mentioned a little while ago, I think we're going to hold right there at 32. So hedging our bets for northern Mississippi. So basically, no matter where you are in the Mid-South, you're likely going to at least get a glaze, possibly a tenth, I think less than a quarter of an inch for all areas. This is more nuisance freezing rain, all right? But still can create some problems. You want to let your car warm thoroughly before you head out if precipitation is falling. If you've not allowed your car to warm up and you're driving along and it's raining, that rain is going to stick to your windshield. That's going to make driving difficult, and your windshield wipers aren't going to help you. It's also going to be sticking on sidewalks, roads, tree limbs, power lines. More of a nuisance than anything. But then it becomes disruptive once we get above a quarter to about a half an inch. That's when it can start to weight down tree limbs, maybe even bringing down some weaker limbs, sagging power lines, and creating scattered power outages. But anything over half an inch or more, that's when we get crippling results, and that just makes roads impassable, widespread power outages, trees down, and power lines down. We're not going to be dealing with that. Again, we're looking at about a tenth of an inch of precipitation that's going to come into the area, and that's just going to make driving tricky, especially late morning to early afternoon. So my bigger concern is people getting to work, but then, again, not being able to get home. So let's talk about how this starts, okay? When the air temperature is at or below freezing from the surface up, you get snow. Things get a little complicated, however, when a warm layer overrides the colder air at the surface. And depending upon how thick that cold air layer is at the surface will depend on what type of precipitation we're going to get. Will it be sleet? Will it be freezing rain? Well, if that cold layer at the surface is at least 1,500 feet or thicker, in other words, higher up into the atmosphere, 1,500, 2,000 feet and above, then you're going to get sleet because the precipitation originating in liquid form aloft and then falling through that cold layer, it refreezes to form sleet pellets. That's great because it all lands on the ground. Things get complicated, however, when you have a thin layer of cold air at the surface that is at or below 32 degrees and you've got liquid precipitation falling aloft. That's when you get freezing rain, and that's what we're going to be getting tomorrow. I think we're going to see a layer of cold air that's maybe about 500 to 1,000 feet thick above the surface, that warmer air overriding it aloft. It will fall in liquid form, and when it does that, it adheres to whatever it comes in contact with. That includes your car windshield. That includes roads, bridges, overpasses, tree limbs, power lines, anything that is elevated, and of course sticks to the ground as well, freezing on contact. So there you have the difference between sleet and freezing rain. Freezing rain falling in liquid form, freezing on contact. Sleet, a frozen pellet that just bounces off of whatever it hits and ultimately ends up on the ground. Both create problems driving, but that freezing rain creates more of a slicker surface and makes it a little more treacherous for driving. But with the tenth of an inch, we get some traffic out there that should contribute to some melting. Now, tomorrow is a first alert weather day. We're looking at about a 20% chance of precipitation at 7 in the morning, temperature of 24 degrees. Then as we get to noon, that chance of precipitation jumps to 70%, 40% at 3, down to 30% at 5, 20% at 7. I do have a concern that we could be dealing with some freezing drizzle around 5 to 7. Again, that creates issues on bridges and overpasses and anybody who may be driving tomorrow night with freezing on the windshield, and that could have create some problems with visibility. Overall, freezing rain for most of the Mid-South, a glaze to a tenth of an inch. Winds are going to be out of the south at about 10 miles per hour. Those south winds are going to help us out, though, as we get into next week. In the meantime, get the Action News 5 First Alert weather app. We're going to be putting out videos. I just put one out a few minutes ago. Check it out. It is about the wind chills overnight. So it's going to be a cold night. It's going to feel even colder. There's also a video on there with more on the details and timing of the precipitation for tomorrow. Cool thing about the app, it's free. It is for your specific location. So you'll have temperature, wind chill, wind speeds for your location. You'll have the interactive radar for the entire coverage area. There's a great feature on there to track temperatures. And we've got a high resolution future cast on there that takes you through a 12-hour period, another that takes you through a 24-hour period. So it's all right there in the Action News 5 First Alert weather app. You'll find it in your app store for Apple and Android products. Now look, we get through this tomorrow. 32 is the high. We may even struggle to hit that in Memphis. We followed a high of only 28 Friday and a high of only 22 on Saturday. So another Arctic surge coming in. That's also going to drop temperatures near the single digits for Friday and Saturday night. A warming trend will begin as we see a southerly shift in the wind Sunday. We'll make our way into the mid-30s. We'll be in the mid-40s Monday. We're in the 50s Tuesday and Wednesday. And we are looking at rain coming in for next week. But right now, it is just rain, so I'm pretty happy about that. I want everybody to stay weather aware. Check on your elderly friends and neighbors. Also, check on your pets. Make sure they're doing good. They have shelter, warm bedding, and check their water often. Make sure it doesn't freeze. In temperatures like this, a bowl of water freezes in less than 2 hours. Lydian, do we have any questions out there? Anybody want to know anything?
Sure do, Ron. So Megan wants to know, will we be able to commute by Sunday?
Megan wants to know, will we be able to commute by Sunday? Yes, indeed. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at a full day of sunshine for Friday and Saturday, and even with temperatures in the 20s, that sun's really going to impact the major thoroughfares. We'll get some absorption of the warmth from the sun on highways, major streets around the area. I think it will still be dicey for side roads, especially into the weekend, and by Sunday, we'll likely still have some icy conditions on the less traveled roadways, side streets, cul-de-sacs, things like that. So areas where we don't see a lot of traffic. But yeah, it will be better on major thoroughfares the weekend. And I think as we get to Monday, we're going to be in great shape. You will likely still find some patchy ice and snow on grass, yards, and shaded areas, but things are going to shape up to be much better. What else we got, Lydia? Most of the questions were about travel. Someone had asked about travel. They had parents going to Gatlinburg. I think I-40 is going to be in good shape for the early part of the day tomorrow, but as the day wears on, could be an issue because, look, all of this is going to be moving east, and there's the potential for this to really enhance as it gets into Middle Tennessee. So if you have travel plans east tomorrow, just know that by tomorrow afternoon, Nashville could be getting inundated with freezing rain and creating some big problems there. However, if you're going west, I don't expect much of anything in the way of precipitation west of the Mississippi River. So folks heading to Little Rock tomorrow, you're going to be in good shape. If you're headed south down into Jackson, taking 55, you'll be in good shape there. If you're going north, up to St. Louis, you'll be in good shape as well. This system coming in out of the southwest and then making a rapid push to the east. So it's really going to be impacting more of parts of northeast Mississippi, west Tennessee, middle Tennessee, and on into Kentucky. What do we have? What else do we have, Lydian?
Lauren wants to know, do you expect any snow with this freezing rain tomorrow?
I don't think we're going to get any snow. I'm not going to rule out the possibility of a few snowflakes flying. There will be no accumulating snow whatsoever. It's going to be the freezing rain that accumulates, and again, about 1/10 of an inch at most. Now, as we get to Friday night, or Thursday night, excuse me, because temperatures will steadily fall from the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere down to the surface to below freezing. So if there's any moisture that's still left, a little cloud cover before midnight tomorrow night, we could have a few snow flurries there as well, because that colder air that's going to be moving in, it really extracts moisture, so that could lead to some snowflakes to fly, but no additional accumulation on top of what we have. Yeah?
Joey says, do you think this will be the last of the snow/ice for the season?
Do I think this is the last of the snow/ice for the season? I think we're still going to remain in an active pattern as we get into February. So I can't say yes or no to that, because we're going to see this situation continue of up and down temperatures, just given the El Nino pattern that we have in place around the area. So if just the right amount of moisture intersects colder air coming in at just the right time, we could see something like this again. I will say this, though, as we get into February, I think we're going to start to transition into a more active pattern, at least with the potential for maybe thunderstorm activity. And I'm always concerned about the potential for tornadoes in February, especially when you get a rapid warm up. Look, we're going to see temperatures in the upper 50s, I believe, by the middle of next week. So when you go from extreme cold to a rapid warm up like that, there's also always the possibility of some stronger storms developing. And there's going to be a pretty good system that moves in the middle of next week. Right now, it doesn't look severe, but as we head on into February, those things could certainly change. But Joey, it's still a 50-50 hit, I do believe, as far as what we're going to get. And look, our average annual snowfall for the year is 5.5 inches. Many locations have already had that, and that's just the first time around. And typically in a winter season, we'll see a couple of chances for snow coming into play. So this is just one.
I will throw one more question your way.
One more question. Do it.
Mark says he's traveling Friday morning. Do we think the roadways will be covered in ice?
Mark's traveling Friday morning. I think we're going to be in good shape. We'll get some traffic on those streets late Thursday. That's going to contribute to melting. There will be some black ice likely on roads, so just make sure you allow yourself plenty of time. But I think things will be in much better shape Friday, and with a full day of sunshine, that too is going to contribute to melting on the major thoroughfares. So thank you all very much for joining us on our digital desk here, and we want to thank all of our Facebook friends, YouTube followers, and all of you who are watching on our streaming apps on Apple, Amazon, and Prime, and Roku. That's it. I get those mixed up all the time. Hey, look, I got to go do a promo. We've got Action News 5 at 10 o'clock coming up tonight at 10. Be sure to tune in. Joe and Joy are going to have the latest on the day's news. We'll talk more about this weather moving in and take a look at the 7-day forecast and a look ahead to some warmer temperatures. So we'll see you tonight on